Right over here. No, nope. More to the left. Perfect. Hello there. Welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett. If you haven't listened to the podcast before, in addition to bringing you informative and entertaining photography and business content, I also go on adventures with the crew of the Starship Fibonacci. They're my hashtag nerdy photo crew. Right now, we are helping relocate a family of, well, they're basically space whales to another dimension because Bang the Bonkerer is threatening their native environment. You're going to need to find some sort of container to put them in for a while, F2.0.
Aye, Captain.
Yeah, otherwise they're just going to bounce around the cargo bay. So, on this episode of the Nerdy Photographer Podcast, I talk with Jackie Bravo Vicere. You may know Jackie from her Front Porch Portraits Project that was featured on numerous news outlets at the beginning of the pandemic. Jackie and I talk about the aftermath of that project and a new one she has in the works. All that after the break. No, you can't use my stuff to make the container.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how we handle the situation.
Did you have a contract?
Well, I had one I found for free online, but my lawyer says it might not hold up.
Next time you should head over to nerdyphotographer.com. They've got a selection of contract templates for weddings, events, portrait sessions, and even for hiring second photographers and associate photographers, which would certainly have helped you in your current situation.
Really? I will check that out. Nerdyphotographer.com?
Yep, nerdyphotographer.com. They've got all sorts of contracts and agreements that can help make sure to protect you and your clients. So what are you going to do?
Well, we just have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
So, no pants on?
Who know anything below the waist? Totally Porky Pig in it.
Impressive.
Not really. Yeah, it was pretty cold out.
Ew.
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I am your host, Casey Fatchett, and I am here today with Jackie Bravo Vicere, who's a Chicago-based photographer, Just in Time Productions. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And people might be familiar with your work because you were featured on a variety of different news outlets for your Portrait Project, which started during the pandemic, which we're now like celebrating the 1-year anniversary of starting. Like, how many sessions did you end up shooting for that project?
For the Front Porch Project, I photographed around 615 families all around Illinois. So it was quite a little bit of driving.
That's 615?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot of sessions. And did you charge anyone for any of these, or what was the process?
So the original idea, honestly, it was a trend that I saw on Facebook, and I had a job that I was working at home, and I had flexibility with my hours. So I was like, you know what? I have some free time. Let's take this on. So it was originally for my neighbors. I was like, I'm going to rollerblade around my neighborhood. I'll do the Front Porch Project. I know there's some people stuck at home with newborns or celebrating other milestones that don't get to document these times because obviously, we were on lockdown. But in Illinois or in Chicago, we were allowed to leave our homes and go for walks. And I'm like, this is exactly the same as taking a walk. I'm literally not getting close to anyone. So I posted something on a Facebook group and on a Nextdoor app, and neighbors started showing interest. And I was like, I'm not going to charge anyone. It's a little bit of a casual thing. So at first, I was like, it's going to take me a couple hours a day. I love it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to get distracted. And I didn't charge for the first, I would say, month and a half. But then Blog Club contacted me, and they did a whole piece on my work. And that's when everything blew up, and I was just receiving hundreds of messages a day. And then it just became kind of a full-time thing. I even quit my job, and I didn't take payment as, specifically a payment, but I would say like, okay, if whatever you can afford to donate to the project, I'll take it. Because then I started driving 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I ended up driving 3 to 4 hours away from Chicago to photograph communities and families who were like, I have a newborn, I really want pictures, and my photographer canceled last minute. So I started taking on the air quote jobs, and I ended up, taking donations, whatever people could afford at the time.
That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, you're talking about just like you were saying, it started out as I'm just walking around my neighborhood, and then it turns into you're driving somewhere, and you're like, it does become a job. And how did this? I mean, then you were saying that it got picked up. I think things sort of steamrolled because I remember seeing you on TV, I believe, with this project. How did that the I don't know, the news sort of picked up and people started contacting you about this project?
Yeah. So after the Block Club, I had no idea what Block Club was. After their story on me, I guess they're very. That's where a lot of other bigger news outlets get their information from, local communities. So I was featured in Block Club Chicago. So after that, this guy, his name is Kevin Tibbles. He's a reporter for NBC Nightly News, which is a national news network. And I was like, wow, he contacted me and he's like, hey, Jackie, has anyone contacted you from NBC News? And I'm like, no, you're the first one. So, a couple of phone calls, and then we set something up. And after NBC News, I'm Mexican born and raised, and I really wanted a Latino TV network to cover the story because I'm such a proud Mexican. And I contacted Univision, and they were like, absolutely, we would love to cover your story. So I ended up being featured in NBC Nightly News, Univision Chicago, Univision National, ABC Chicago, WGN, and a few other local smaller newspapers. And actually this month, I will be featured in my Irving Park community newsletter, which is super exciting because it's where everything started. So yeah, it just became this, it snowballed and it became amazing.
Yeah, it's like my wife works in media relations and PR, and she always says one feature leads to other features. Other people see the story and they're like, I want to cover that, or I want to get a quote from that person, or I want to talk to that person. How did all of this exposure affect you and your business? How did it all of a sudden you're getting all this attention?
Well, first I quit my job, which was a desk job, and I was never into desk jobs. So it's helped my business, which is just-in-time productions. And I just expanded my portfolio 100% because, like I said, I was born and raised in Mexico. I moved to United States when I was 18 years old. So the experience, because I started photography early on in my life, and I was already shooting weddings at 18. I mean, not huge, amazing weddings, but,
yeah, it's still
families. Yeah. And so when I came here, I knew no one, nobody knew my work. So this was really an amazing start. Not to only kickstart my work, but just I think it was a great project to meet people, network, and I just really met some amazing people who we're still friends right now. And some people actually got pregnant during the pandemic, and now I'm doing their newborn pictures or their family portraits. So that was really amazing to build relationships and to kickstart my business here.
Well, I think you put so much goodwill out into the world and helping these people out. Like you're saying, you especially at the beginning, you weren't charging, and then you're taking donations. It's sort of like you really kickstarted your business in that, all these people saw your work, and now all of a sudden there's it can transform into other things for your business. But we were talking, and you have now started a new project where you're photographing refugee families. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So this the Front Porch Project kind of evolved, and now I have a full-time job because I chose, to stop photography as a full-time job and keep it as my passion on the side. And this family, well, it's actually the she's kind of the representative of this family in the United States since they don't speak fluent English. She contacted me and she's like, we saw your Front Porch Project. We would love it if you could help us document this family. And I was like, absolutely. This is all truly, I wouldn't even call it a job. It's just like a good time. I really have a good time meeting these families. So the first family was in the Hyde Park area of Chicago. For their safety, I am not posting any of these pictures online because they are refugee families who are still waiting for asylum in the United States. So I'm keeping it all private and only for them. So if anyone is interested, I definitely, they contact me, I go up to their houses and I give them the pictures. I keep the rights, for the pictures because it is my work, but I don't publish it just because of their safety.
Right.
So this person who contacted me works for a bigger company that has a lot of refugee homes for families. And they told me like, hey, we really like your pictures. Would you mind doing more families? And I'm like, absolutely not. I would love it. So now we are setting up about 15 to 20 families for spring. So it's warmer in Chicago because, winters are brutal. So it's just really hard to take pictures outside. And with COVID, I mean, these families are very big. They're coming from foreign countries. So I just want everyone to be safe. And I was just like, okay, let's do it outdoors. Chicago is beautiful. We can get some really good pictures during spring. So this project is still in the works. I still don't have a name for it, but it's happening. I'm sending these people all these pictures, and actually some other people who I met on Clubhouse contacted me and they're like, we loved what you just talked about, the refugee families, and they actually volunteered to give me free prints. So I can't remember her name. I think her name was Robin. She has a print company, and based out of California. And she said I would send, as many free prints as you want in any material. And that was really cool to be supported and just to collaborate with other photographers for like something good. Because adding to this family, the first one that I photographed, they were in a refugee camp for 17 years. And some of these kids are 5 years old. So all they have known is refugee camps. And all their families back in their birth country, they haven't seen them grow up. So this is a way for them to document where they are right now and, send pictures to their families. I think it's really cool that this is how they get to be like, hey, this is my family. Look at us. And it's just really cool.
It's something that I don't know. I think that a lot of people don't really even think about, that these families are coming from, they don't have a way to like say, oh, this is what the family looks like now. It's and the things that they've gone through are just, for most people in the United States, I think it would boggle their minds. So you mentioned that you're obviously not publishing these photos for good reason, but is there some way that people can? Are there other ways that people can help with this project? Is there somewhere that they can go? Like, what can our listeners do? Like, I want to help build support for this project. Is there something anything that they can do? Is there anything that you need for this project? What can people help with?
So the only way I think people could help me, and I think it's just going to their local organizations. And I feel like most people who listen to this podcast are photographers or creatives, and just volunteer your work on any way you can. I think that would help all of us, and the photography community would grow so much from this type of work. It really just makes you feel good. You don't get anything in exchange. I mean, the only thing I got is, this family of 8 children just smiling at me and trying to talk to me, because obviously, like I said, they've learned English a little bit, but they tried to communicate with me, and I really tried to. I even used my translator, and I was like trying to tell them, okay, look this way or do this. I think that would help the photography community altogether. And if some of our listeners are, interested in, again, donating prints or any type of product that you think the family would enjoy, that would also be great. And, reach out to your organizations around you. There's always people who need photography. Photography is just amazing. And there's so much power behind photography.
Yeah, I think that, sometimes when we're sort of, as photographers, we get sort of overwhelmed by visual media and we don't necessarily realize how powerful it is in the lives of other people who, aren't taking pictures all the time, who aren't seeing photos all the time. And, for what we do can have a real impact on people's lives. And like you were saying, you just said, I didn't get anything. I think, I've done a lot of charity work and volunteered in for different causes and things like that. And not getting paid is one thing or whatever, you're not getting paid, but what you do receive, like that, I don't know, energy, goodwill, whatever you want to call it, is definitely, it's powerful, and it's a payment of sorts. I think that, it feeds the soul.
Yeah, definitely. And also you just, you network with all these people working for organizations. I mean, I think people who volunteer, because usually the people who contacted me are all volunteers. They don't get paid for their work with refugee families. So just meeting people who think alike, who have, the same idea of helping others without getting anything in exchange, those are just connections that I will cherish and keep for the rest of my life, because I think it's amazing. It talks a lot about a human being by doing that kind of work.
Yeah, and these are some real ambitious projects that you've chosen to do. I mean, like you're saying, like the Front Porch Project was like over 600 families. Like, do you have any advice for photographers who are going to go out and volunteer and want to start like projects like this or similar to this?
Definitely. So from my experience with the Front Porch Project, it definitely helped me to have, first, to just do it. Like I said, I literally started rollerblading around my neighborhood. I had no structure, no idea, nothing. I had nothing. I literally just went out, took pictures, and figured it out from there. Rely on peers, ask for help. A lot of people are willing to help. Maybe not, with your editing style, maybe not with those things, but definitely ask for help organization-wise. Ask for software that could help. I actually ended up using Google Sheets, and the way I would organize my people is I created like a template on Google Docs, and all of this is free. So it was just like an intake form. I was like, write your name, write your address, write your neighborhood, give me your phone number, give me your email. So I would get Google Docs forms all of the time. And then from there, I would put them in an Excel spreadsheet and organize them by neighborhood. So that helped a lot to just keep it organized and to use my time to the best extent. But just go out and do it. Believe in your project, because that's another thing that I kind of failed to do. In the beginning, it was just such a little thing for me. I never thought it would become what it did. But I mean, even this one family, like these people were engaged later on in their life. And I sadly took their last picture as a couple right before they got married, because the husband passed away due to COVID. So just by them having that picture, she was literally calling me and emailing me and thanking me for taking that one picture, because that's the last happy memory they had together. And now I gifted her a huge print of their picture together, because I was like, I never knew how powerful, 5 minutes of my day would be. And just do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard for us to believe in ourselves, but it's just do it. It might really.
Sorry, that first step is the hardest one to take.
Yeah, like just doing it.
Yeah, just like get out there. Like I think a lot of people, myself included, there are plenty of times when I've thought of like, oh, this would be a great thing to do, and then I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have the time or if I have the motivation or whatever, or people won't care about that. And I'm definitely guilty of beating myself up or like putting down the project and thinking like, nobody's going to be interested in this. I think that what you're saying, just go out and do it, and asking for help, man. Like that's again something I'm very bad at doing, asking for help. Definitely, if people want to get involved in something or start a project, please like feel free to ask for help. There are people out there who will help you.
Yeah, definitely. I learned that, and Clubhouse has been an amazing tool for that. We are so lucky that Clubhouse exists right now and that people are so willing to help out. Even if you're on Instagram and you see like this photographer that you really admire, just send them a DM. Like they most likely will answer. Like these are just human beings, doing their best to work.
Yeah.
So
I've experienced that both on Clubhouse and just like, like running into people and like that I never would have probably spoken to. Like there's just like, very famous photographers, who, live on the other side of the country who I never would have, there's no way we would have been in the same room. We talk or whatever, like there's a networking or bonding or whatever, and finding that, whatever, for whatever reason, there's something, you connect, or they're willing to help, or they're willing to, like even come on this podcast. I've like lined up so many people to come on this podcast and talk about things that they're passionate about, like to help spread the word on like things that really matter to them. It's a powerful tool. And I think that, like photography can be used by, photographers can use their gifts to help others, and we should be asking each other for help as well.
yeah, like let's elevate the whole photography game, like all together. I feel like before Clubhouse, we all had this idea of, oh my God, like my Instagram feed has to be the best, at least, for the younger population in photography. But I started asking myself, like, is my Instagram feed like really everything? Like, no, like there has to be something more to my pictures and my photography. So that kind of also just made me, when I saw the trend of the Front Porch Project going around in United States, I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And actually, like I said, I was born and raised in Mexico, and I have a lot of friends who are photographers back in Mexico. And when they saw my project, they started doing it in Mexico. And then I would help them. I would be like, look, this is what I did. It worked great. Or this is what I did and it just didn't work. So I wasn't scared of like, oh my God, they're going to take my work. And not necessarily because they're in a different country, but just because we all have our own style, and it's just a race against ourselves. It's not against other photographers. There's plenty of clients out there. There's plenty of people who want their picture taken. There's plenty of things to photograph. So just removing that idea of, oh my God, if I teach this photographer something, like they're going to take over my style. Definitely not. I think it's very important to share your knowledge so it stays and it just keeps evolving. And even you get feedback from your own knowledge.
Right.
So that has...
You're right. You might learn something about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this project taught me a lot and has given me the opportunity to share, at my short age, to share what I've done and how I continue to move up and move on with some projects. And like I said, go out, do it. You don't have to have everything figured out before you start something. Most of things in life that are great are not figured out until we're doing them.
That is fantastic advice.
Hey there, this is Frankie Sparks.
And this is Sky Eisenberg.
We are Shoot the Flick.
Yes, an official Paradoja podcast.
Every Wednesday, Scott and I introduce each other to a brand spanking new movie that the other one has never seen. We talk about it, give our thoughts on it, and also share some behind-the-scenes fun facts.
We want you guys to come enjoy watching the movie with us.
Yes, so check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Shoot the Flick. Check out our weekly episodes every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere else you can find a podcast.
We hope you guys give us a listen soon.
Bye!
Hey. And now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Useless information. This is always death.
Did you know that the penny in the United States has been around since 1787. And since that time, more than 300 billion pennies have been produced.
Oh my God. We need an update on that.
I mean, that's a lot of pennies. That's enough to wrap around the earth, I think 300 times.
Oh my God.
If you put them side to side.
Where did they go during the pandemic?
How do they know?
No, where did they go during the pandemic? You know how they had a shortage of
pennies?
coins?
Because nobody was out there spending them. Nobody was out there like putting them out into the, into the world. Like people just had them sitting at home. Like they weren't actually like going out and, putting them in circulation. And I think that was the problem. And that's why a lot of people were saying like, we don't have coins because people weren't spending coins. Like people would go to a store or wherever. And they, even though it was, like socially distanced or whatever, and they'd say like, we don't have change because we don't have any coin. Nobody's coming in and giving us coins. So, and the banks weren't, I don't think the banks were getting stuff from the treasury either, so it's all it's a supply chain. There's no supply.
Yeah, they were just sitting at the bottom of the washing machine.
They're all in somebody's couch right now. They're in between the cushions probably. And somebody's couch. Welcome back. We seem to have all the space whales secured in the cargo bay, though F2.0's methods of getting materials were a little suspect and probably broke the trans-dimensional prime directive.
How do we know he didn't invent this stuff?
Fair enough. I would like to thank Jackie Bravo Vicere for joining us. You can find Jackie on Instagram at justintimechai for Chicago. So that's justintimechai, CHI. You can also find the links and info on our blog or in the episode notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, tell a friend, leave a review. The Nerdy Photographer is an independent podcast. That means your reviews and telling other people about the podcast go a really long way to help keep this show going. There isn't a team or network behind the show, and I can use all the help that I can get. So please share, leave reviews. That would be awesome. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok at The Nerdy Photo. Lots of fun stuff going on social media between the episodes, so be sure to follow along. Hey, F2.0, you'll have to enter those numbers manually with the keyboard. The vocal input isn't working right now.
A keyboard. How quaint.
Yeah. Until next time, folks, stay safe and stay nerdy.
Who's that coming back to town? You better start listening. Who's your heart been beating about? You better listen.